Hello, my friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Revenge of the Party Nerds podcast, coming to you live from a discreet location high in the Holly Woodland Hills. I'm Richard Gabai, joined by
Robert Carradine.
So you've got a party nerd and a revenge nerd, which, I mean, who could ask for more? But you can today, because we are joined by my esteemed dear friend and colleague, Mr. Daniel Roebuck. Danny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm in good company with these nerds.
It's a glasses theme today. Danny, where are you right now?
So I'm in Wilmington. I'm in Mount Airy. I don't even know where I am. I'm in Mount Airy, North Carolina. I'm playing Scrooge here at the Andy Griffith Playhouse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we open tomorrow night, and it's been a little crazy. And I've got a lot of connections with Andy Griffith. So coming back here to Mount Airy has been it's always joyful to come here.
I believe it was the first time I saw you on television was on Matlock. And I still see you on television because I live in the past. And I watch MeTV and all those channels where I see you all the time. But going back to the very beginning, I can't resist asking you about the very beginning in Cave Girl and how we got to where you are now.
Yeah, can I go back a little further than Cave Girl and say, Robert, when I moved across country, I literally drove from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania to Los Angeles knowing no one. And the very first movie studio I went to was Old Tucson. And you guys had just left. You shot some of Revenge of the Nerds there, yeah?
Yes, we did. Yep.
At Old Tucson. So the very first sets I ever stepped on were the sets from Revenge of the Nerds.
And look, it stuck.
It did. Revenge of the Nerds sucked?
No, it stuck. S-T-U-C-K, stuck. It stuck. You got some of that stuff on your shoe.
Yes. That's funny. So so that was pretty good. So I got to Hollywood in 1984, January, and it was starring in Cave Girl in October of 1984. It was one of those 2-week movies that I was on from the beginning of October until right before Christmas. So it turned into a 2-month movie. So that was my first thing. People don't really understand what it was. Like, I guess we all have to thank Eddie DeZine for creating the nerd as he was known in cinema. And then, Robert, you guys played it so perfectly. And then we were all doing you guys. Yes. I was playing the nerd in Cave Girl. So you guys maybe did, and I did you. Then so many years down the line, someone said, let's not do that anymore. And Napoleon Dynamite redefined.
Yeah, they went like 100 miles to see the movie.
You're talking about Cave Girl and the nerd and Revenge of the Nerds being the king of all. Well, there was a TV show, King of the Nerds, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But my first actual movie, Nightmare Sisters, where I played a nerd. But we really we are really the sexiest, coolest guys in Hollywood. It's just every now and then the public forgets.
Well, they're going to know now.
They're going to know now. Yes, that's so true. You guys, I mean, it's kind of interesting when, and we're also 3 guys that have just kept working. And that's one good thing about not being the big movie star forever is you get to work forever. But when you're the big movie star, then you don't get to work as much because you've got to star in movies and not just be in movies.
Right.
Well, one of my favorite things is watching the movie stars fall down the pecking order, to finally they're in one scene.
Yeah, you're at the top, and then one day, you're like you're working next to the likes of me.
Yeah.
I think is how you.
Well, what's great about my career is I've never been near the top. I've always been hoovering just right, one notch above complete obscurity. So, if I'm forever on the way up. Because I like
That's
and one
funny.
of the things I really wanted to talk to you about is that like I haven't had it. Bobby has had his first movies was with John Wayne, and so you're on the set with freaking Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, and what the heck is that like?
Well, unlike the Carradines in that great movie, I started. I didn't start at the top. I started at a place where there was nowhere to go but up. So in the first few years, thank you for asking. Like I kind of learned a lot. And before I met Harrison Ford, I met Andy Griffith, and Andy Griffith for me was the movie TV personality. That would be like standing in front of Jackie Gleason, which I
Right.
never got to do, or Tony Randall, which I never got to do. Like this was a guy who was a definition of television and entertainment. And so I had, when I met Andy Griffith, I was like, I couldn't even talk.
Right.
When I met Tommy Lee Jones, we met over pizza. The first night we were all in a little town, Cherokee, North Carolina, and then Harrison couldn't have been nicer. But there was a night, you guys. So the time from getting to Hollywood, Harrison Ford was 9 years or 8 years, 7 years, whatever. And I remember one night we're sitting on the lens cases. You're not allowed to sit on the lens cases, but Harrison Ford was sitting on the camera boxes. And so I thought, well, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. So we were just sitting there while we're shooting at the Hilton, 3 o'clock in the morning, late. We're doing the fight. They're shooting his sequence or someone else shooting our sequence, looking after them. And, we sit there in silence for 5 minutes. And finally I say, I don't know what to say to you. And he said, I understand.
It's like there's a famous story that I love about a musical art thing. When they were making the Traveling Wilburys with Tom Petty and Roy Orbison and Jeff Lynne and those guys, and apparently Tom Petty went to Roy Orbison and he said, Roy, you probably have the greatest voice in rock and roll. And Roy said, Tom, I probably do. It just is. You're with Harrison Ford, like the greatest movie star of our generation, arguably. And but how
and
great.
I think a movie star for us, like, because for me, my age, I'm 61 now, and Harrison Ford, Star Wars was pumped into my 13-year-old brain, and then Indiana Jones was pumped into my 15-year-old brain, or 18-year-old brain rather. So I really feel like he was my movie star. But I had grown up such a fan of TV and movies. If I would have been standing next to John Wayne, Robert, what was that like? I mean, you weren't just with him, you were with all your brothers. I mean, it just must have been something.
Well, I kind of had this attitude. I had been living with my brother David in Laurel Canyon, and it's like, John Wayne, total hippie attitude. And it finally came time to meet him on location. We'd been on location for about 3 days. We'd never met him. So all the kids lined up to meet John Wayne, and I was at the end of the line. And, my attitude is starting to, like, soften. And the closer I got to the Duke, the larger he became, until finally I'm standing in front of him and I'm looking up at him and I go, how do you do, Mr. Wayne? Yeah, I tell you, it was really, really impressive. That man was very impressive.
I mean, you were how
He
old?
said-
Would you have been
He
then?
said,
14
nice
or
to meet
15?
you, Carradine.
I was 17.
17.
Yeah.
Can we go back a little further? I had your dad was touring with the Roy Radin Vaudeville Review in the 70s. Do you have any memory of what that is or what it was about?
No,
Roy-
I did a summer stock play with my dad in Florida. I was in Tobacco Road. I was the understudy for my brother Keith, and I thought that was safe. And of course, he took off early to do McCabe and Mrs. Miller, and I had to take over the role. And that was a real education.
So you met John back in the day in theater, or?
No, so the Roy Rain Vaudeville Review, Roy Rain became famous in the Cotton Club murders. He was the guy they killed. He was like a Long Island impresario who really tapped into the nostalgia craze, kind of at the same time Happy Days did. And he would do this vaudeville review. And when we were kids, my old man worked for the city. And it was usually the Fraternal Order of Police that sponsored this review. It would come and play in a high school. But as a kid, I got to go see Milton Berle and Georgie Jessel. And Frank Gorshin toured with them. Every year they had a headliner. And the last year, you guys, John Carradine was part of the troupe. And he came out and he did some Shakespearean soliloquies and told stories. He just traveled around as one of the members of, there was like, Frank Gorshin, the Harmonica Rascals, John Carradine.
Wow.
And because my dad knew the cops, I kind of had an in. So one of the greatest memories of my entire life, and I'm glad I get to tell you this. I wish I could tell you this in person. And I know we all have different relationships with our fathers. We don't see them the same way other people see them. I sat down with your dad. They brought me to his dressing room. And he said, I understand you want to talk to me about movies. And that's not a very good impression. And I said, yes, sir, I do. So he said, come in. Do you mind if I play solitaire? And, his hands, how they were there, I just have such memories. And he said, you can ask me anything you want. And so there he was playing solitaire. And I was saying, what color was Frankenstein really? And he goes, it's green, never green. He was gray, never green. And he gave me like this first person narrative. I mean, here's a guy who's in, like he's in The Invisible Man. He's in Bride of Frankenstein. He became Dracula. And I got to sit with him for a half hour until they said 10 minutes to places. And he said, would you excuse me? And isn't that amazing? What a glorious time. Not a camera. Nobody had a camera.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's what a great memory.
Right. And he was in The Patsy with Jerry Lewis.
That's right. And I was on the set.
And Peter Lorre and John Carradine.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. I mean, what a career.
That's how you knew, by the way, Jerry Lewis knew what was what. I know his reputation, Jerry Lewis was a jerk. Jerry Lewis was this. Jerry Lewis was a director that any one of us would love to have his insight.
150%. He invented video tap. He invented video tap. He invented video tap on the film camera, and he. And I have a you're ringing memories with me because I was always a huge Jerry Lewis fan. Before you could find, I found out and heard. Well, he had this reputation. A good friend of mine, Billy Stabile, his Uncle Joe, was Jerry's manager throughout the career, and my wife and I got the chance to meet him, and I got to thank him, and it's a little emotional, but I have one of his monogrammed shirts in my closet because it was gifted to me after he passed away. But what a real comedy genius and a dramatic genius. What a great actor.
Yeah.
And something lost. Nothing should be lost of that generation. And I was just out in Fort Lauderdale a couple of weeks ago. Our friend, I don't know if you know Andrew Stevens as well, but he just made this amazing documentary about his mom Stella. And there's a lot of great stuff about the Nutty Professor. And Nutty Professor remains in a top 10 list for me forever. Jerry Lewis is Nutty Professor.
Yeah. What do you have? What does he say? What do you have? No, that's not it. What'll it be? What does he eat? No,
I just love that in my mind he made that movie and he played Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. That Martin and Lewis combination. And now, Danny, full disclosure, we've been friends for a really long time, But I had completely forgotten that you were in the sort of modern day Western I made, American Black Beauty, with Dean Stockwell.
Yeah, we shot. You know what you forgot? Because remember, I came out to, Woodland Hills or something, or Westlake Village, and I think I only shot for one night. But it was great to see Dean Stockwell. He was there.
Yeah, and
That was
he
fun.
was always a hero. And one of the great things I do want to take a moment is that my dad, who is now no longer with us, a blessed memory, was the one who inspired me to love movies, musicals, westerns, old Universal horror pictures, the whole things, even opera, which I've now started to appreciate. And he always got to visit the sets. And there was a great there's a photo with me and my dad and Dean Stockwell, and it was great to be able to share that. And I know my dad is really excited that we're now doing this new show, all of us guys here. So, but hey, you have that clip of Danny in American Black Beauty?
Don't feel a thing. You need to sleep.
No, I wasn't in any of those. No.
We hadn't, we didn't get to meet until, well, that was right around the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the American Black Beauty had to be around 2005 or so.
Oh,
And then we didn't work together again for a little while, but you kept working, right?
I had two kids to put through college and Catholic school. I didn't have any choice. Now you remember stuff. Do you guys do this based on when your kids were born or whatever? Like I know that we did we did the late shift, and when we did reshoots, my daughter was coming imminently, and the director told my wife she wasn't allowed to have the baby till they said wrap. But the makeup people had a bag packed to go to the hospital with me should my wife's water have broken. That's how close it was. And Gracie was literally born the next day.
Wow.
And then her first plane trip was, I think, 10 days later or a month later. And it was to go up and shoot Nash Bridges. So they were very, very close together, those two events. And why do I remember it? I remember it because of my kid. Isn't that funny?
So I'm shooting this movie, and man, why is it I think it's called Raptor, and we all have ups and downs, and I actually love Eric Roberts because people say he's in a lot of movies now, but he was the star, and he was a meaningful star at the time, and he's a fantastic actor.
And a great actor.
And a great actor and a great person, and I'd work with him again today. I had told Eric, I really needed the job. You're talking about like needing a job and raising your kids, and I'd pretty much gotten married, and now it's a year later, and I get SAG gig, and need the money, and I have 3 days on, and then I have 3 days off, and then I have 3 more days on, and we're like, any minute Juliet's going to be born. And every day I'm going to work, and I'm checking in with my wife, and I'm checking in with and I kind of told Eric, and he's like, well, if your wife goes into labor, you're out of here. You're out of here. And I was like, well, I kind of am, but do I still get paid? Like it was like, of course I wanted to. I was worried about the money. I was worried about the money. Of course, I was going to be there when my daughter was born. There was no question. But I was literally like thinking about it, because it wasn't like, God was involved. The night of my third day of work, my wife goes into labor. Our beautiful daughter is born perfectly. I'm able to spend the first 3 days at home. I go back to work. And at lunch on that first day, I will never forget this. Eric Roberts at lunch jumped up on the table and screamed, everybody, a big round of applause and congratulations to Richard. He just became a father. And I can kind of get welled up thinking about it now because it was just so amazing.
He just became a father, man.
Yeah.
My Eric Roberts.
You became
man. Same man. I've done a few movies with Eric. You could work with them now, but he'd be like, so I don't have much time to talk. I'm doing 4 more movies today.
Exactly. Exactly. But he's great though. He's great in everything. It's like we
come on. Look, you guys, actor to actor to actor. Could any one of us have done what he did in Star 80? Could any one of us have done that? I could.
Hi, you heffy baby. Oh, what a. And right, was it Is he Runaway Train?
Yeah, Runaway
Yeah,
Train.
Runaway
Runaway Train.
Train.
He's terrific. He and
Terrific.
John Voight and Rebecca De Mornay.
Yeah.
And like if you put Pope of Greenwich Village, Star 80, and Runaway Train, if I got to do those movies in my life, I would have retired right after Runaway Train and said, I don't gotta prove nothing no more, man.
But you still had,
I-
but you'd still have kids. So
It's still
and
kids, you have
wives.
to work.
So you do still
So-
need. You still
You know, but I just want to just finish. You know, my daughter became such a huge fan of Jay Leno, and the last week of the show, you know, they let us come to watch the show and meet him because he had never met him. So we're standing, we're taking pictures. She goes, "Hey Dan, how long ago was that movie that you? How long you did that? Did you do that?" And I was like, "Geez, you never have this. You can never have this kind of show and tell." Before I said, "Jay, it was exactly as long as this human," because she came the next day. So when you look at her and you see she's 18, that's how many years ago it was.
So how did how did that whole come about? Because I mean, there's often, you know, like there's a TV movie or there's a movie, but I mean that was like a phenomenon. That movie, it was just everywhere, and everybody in town was talking about it.
Yeah, that's been, I'll tell you, my blessing as an actor has been this ridiculous ability to step into exactly the zeitgeist moment. I got to do it with The Fugitive. I got to do it with The Late Shift. Got to do it with Lost. To some extent, even Man in the High Castle. And now Terrifier 3. Like, I've stepped into, luckily, the thing that everyone talks about. And that was a water cooler show. You know, the casting process, I remember when they sent me the script, my manager, Wayne Rice, then and now Leslie Rice, his sainted wife. Think of this, you guys. I've had the same management team for 38 years.
Wow.
Almost the entirety of my time in Hollywood.
Wow.
I don't know anybody else who could say that. I love them madly. They're terrific people. But this is Wayne Rice. I just quoted him earlier. This is a good acting. At one point, when things were slow, I'm going to get back to The Late Shift, but at one point when things were slow, I said, "Yeah, I think I may have to sell one of the cars because I'm having trouble paying the gardener." And Wayne Rice goes, "Roby, don't live like a poor person. It'll drive you crazy." And so I've adapted that thought processes. And even when I don't have money, I don't live like a poor person. But anyway, back to Wayne Rice. So Wayne Rice, he sends me the script for The Late Shift. This is how stupid I am. I go, I love it. I love it. Do you think they'd let me read for Warren Littlefield? That's the part I wanted to read for. And he goes, And he goes, "Roby, they're not going to put Warren Littlefield on the poster." And it's like, "Oh, so I should read for Jay Leno then?" Yeah. He goes, "That's why I sent it to you." So, you know, again, in God's great wisdom, many, 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 many years ago, the very second thing I became after ventriloquist, when I was 6, I became an impressionist when I was about 9 or 10. And I used to do these talent shows doing, you know, "You Dirty Rat."
All right, wait.
You know,
Let's
doing-
see. I want to see your act. Let's get back to this story.
You what? You want to
I want to see your impersonation act. Who did you do?
You know, it was, my mother helped me write it. It was like great stuff. I have Peter Lorre. I have a black shoe and a green shoe. And I have a pair just like them at home. You're like, I mean, people must have just thought, this poor mentally challenged young man. this poor child. So my mom, I went to see Rich Little. I was a fan, and Frank Gorshin, like the great impressionist of our childhood.
Right.
So I met Rich Little when I was 12, and he said, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "You know, I want to be an entertainer and an impersonator, an impressionist." You know, we had a little 12-year-old conversation backstage at the Valley Forge Music Fair. And then there I was, 18 years later, and he was playing Johnny Carson and I was playing Jay Leno, and we were both doing impressions. And the day we worked together, I pulled out my book that he signed for me when I was a child.
Wow.
And I said, "Would you sign this again?" And he was like, "Why? How would you even have this?" And he wrote, "Dan, I always knew we'd end up working together."
What just an amazing thing. And I've, Bobby and I hang out and talk all the time. Like, so many things that you wouldn't believe really could happen, really do.
Yeah, really do. And it's no different for any of us. Bobby growing up in show business, and you and I come into show business. I don't know what kind of show this is, and if I can say things like this, but to me, I've always had a great vision of what my life was going to be, and to me, everything I was drawn to as a child, everything I learned to do as a child, has come in very handy as an adult. I was a clown in a circus. I was a vampire clown walking around with a tuxedo and this crazy clown makeup. And then one day I'm playing Grandpa Munster.
And I want to thank you again for being a part of my film Insight, which for me was kind of a career changer. And it was just
I thought it was a very good movie.
Thank you.
Good movie.
It was a bunch of my friends came aboard to help me. And Christopher Lloyd and Veronica Cartwright, who we're going to have, and there's the very handsome Danny Roebuck with my pal Sean Patrick Flannery. And thank you again for being a part of that movie. It really, for me, it was a game changer. That's what, A&E saw that movie, and that's what led to me getting to make a bunch of these thrillers. And thank you, Danny.
Thank you. You're welcome, Richard.
Oh yeah, and I wore
that.
My daughter pulled these stills from my computer this morning, and so that's why I put on this shirt, because I still have the shirt, and I still have like 85% of that hair, maybe 81% of that hair.
Yeah.
You have 100% of that hair, but
no, it's all a sham. It's a lie. So one day I'm in my home in California, and I start watching Insight, but I don't know what it is. I'm watching and I'm like, wow, man, I'm having deja vu, man. Look at that. Yeah, Sean Patrick. Yeah, he looks just like I remember him. Yeah. Now, why do I remember this so well? And it was like, wait, I literally walked into the movie and went, oh, I'm in it. That's why I remember it.
But did you like it?
Yeah, no. Then I went back and watched the whole thing. No, I thought it was terrific. You're very, look, we used to have these directors in TV that you could just trust to get the thing shot well, look good. I don't. You're one of those directors. That's what I want to be as an actor, and to some extent a director too. I want to be reliable and reliant, and deliver exactly what I say I can deliver. That's what I try to be as an actor. And Richard, you're that. And in 1970, you're Richard Siegel. Like you're the guy that everybody would have come to direct all the movies. And Hollywood has just changed so weirdly, where it's like nobody cares about the guy who has the experience to deliver. They want something new and fresher. I don't know what they want, but I can tell you nobody watches TV like they used to, because I think we've let them down to some extent. That's my opinion. I hope I'm not saying terrible things on your show.
Well, we're here. No, we're here to. This is a free flowing, and I want my guests to say what they think. And I mean, I agree with you on a lot of levels. I know it's not as maybe popular to hire guys like me necessarily to direct, but I'm just feel so blessed because 2 nights ago I wrapped on a new horror movie as an actor. So, You know, the fact
And
that
that's-
we're not digging ditches for a living, and we're still at it. And
Well,
also,
except for the ditch that we're digging right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Bobby,
end of
you
our
haven't said
career.
it. Bob, hey,
It was the end of
you know,
our
Danny,
careers, Robert.
Danny, you and I are finished, but Bobby hasn't contributed to this part of the conversation, so he's still clean.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do
Just I
anything
want
you
everyone
want.
to know, Robert Carradine thinks everything is perfect. And I actually, honestly, Danny, I know you really do too, and so do I. Like, everything changes. Everything has changed. Like, could you name who's the big movie star now? Is there a movie star now? Is there someone that comes up and says, "Well, if that guy's in the movie, I have to go see it"? Like for you, and for me, because you know
Yeah.
I'm born in '64, so
Yeah,
Harrison
you know,
Ford.
for me, that guy is Ray Fiennes. Like, isn't that funny?
Right.
And he'd be not considered box office gold by anyone, but there's an actor that will never, ever, ever, ever disappoint you, no matter what he plays. But yeah, we don't have. Look, I think that's funny. I always use that example, you know, as an impressionist. I mean, you know, you guys, we stood in front of, you know, and Robert, you more than any of us stood in front of the most impersonated people in the world. You know, I'm sure they came into your life and everything. And you know, Rich Little made a fortune doing John Wayne, and now what are you gonna do, Ben Affleck? And that's not even an insult.
Right.
You know, like,
Well, I mean, you
like
could make
Ben
a funny.
Affleck.
You know, the thing is, the meme is the new impression, right? Because there's a lot of good Ben Affleck memes. I don't personally know. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I like his.
You could
acting
do
and I
Adam
like his
Sandler.
directing. I just don't. You know, it's how do you know? You could do. I don't even. Can you do Leo DiCaprio? I don't know who you can do. Like and have people go.
I
Leo
guess
DiCaprio.
I guess who you can do depends on what parties you go to.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I just think we're in a different world. I think that's just a little out of touch.
well, tell I know that you've gone out there because I got to see one of your other independent films, which I loved, that starred our mutual friend Basil,
Oh, Basil Hoffman.
the great Basil Hoffman, one of our great character actors that we just lost a little while ago. But now,
Basil,
how did
I
that?
gave him his. Yeah,
how did
we
that-
gave him. My daughter and I gave him his only starring role.
Yeah, and this is a guy who was in All the President's Men, and it just goes on and on and on. Robert Redford called him all the time to do these crucial but small roles. I know you've made a few of these independent films that you're kind of financing and getting out there, and people are digging them.
Yeah, we make them through a not-for-profit called the Channel of Peace. People could go to a channelofpeace.org if they want to look into it and what it is and what we do. I'm just trying to make old-fashioned movies. That's all I want to make. I want to make movies. I want to make movies like The Trouble with Angels or It's a Wonderful Life or whatever. Like I want to make a movie that makes you laugh and cry and think and maybe puts an idea in your head that could lead you toward a happier life. And so I've been enjoying doing those. Now, there's great irony in my life because simultaneous to my movie coming out, I'm Santa in St. Nick of Bethlehem, and I'm a Santa character in Terrifier 3, which is now the highest grossing non-rated movie in the history of Hollywood or the world or wherever. And it's a violent, nasty, violent Christmas movie. So I'm in that. Monday night, there's actually a drive-in theater that's showing them back to back.
Hey, you're an actor, and you're
no,
great.
we're actors, sure.
And you're great in everything that you do. So how did the whole relationship with Rob Zombie start? How did that all come to be?
Oh, through the great guy, Kevin Burns. I got to give him credit. My buddy who ran Prometheus Entertainment. And if any of your listeners watch Mystery of Oak Island or Ancient Aliens or any of those shows, Kevin was the creator of those. He has unfortunately passed on. A few years back, we lost him right when we were shooting Lucky Louie, as a matter of fact. And Kevin and I are toy collectors. You know, he was a he was a captain of industry, but he also collected toys of monsters and specifically the Munsters. And we went to a screening one night for an Elvira movie, and it was there that I first met Cassandra and Rob Zombie and Sherry. I met them like legitimately. I bumped into Rob Zombie once. We were at there used to be a place called Kitcraft in the Valley where they
Yes.
sold garage kits. Remember that?
Oh,
And
totally.
Totally.
yeah, a buddy of mine goes, oh, you know, Mr. Zombie, like this homeless guy came in. I thought, but it was, I said, what did you call him? He goes, this is Rob Zombie. Oh, I'm sorry. So that's where I first met Rob. But then I met him again. And that was right before he was doing, Devil's Rejects. And, you know, we hit it off and he asked me to be in the movie soon after that.
Devil's Rejects shot out at Sable Ranch, right?
Yeah.
Because we've all shot a million movies at Sable Ranch. I mean, I shot Motocross Kids there. I shot the Bike Squad there.
Am I not in Motocross Kids too, as well?
You might was with Lorenzo Lamas and the late great Dan Haggerty, Rick Overton. Were you in Motocross Kids?
Yeah, Rick Overton. Rick Overton has the scar.
Yeah, he was Scar. Yeah, and we discovered Josh Hutcherson, who became this huge star. Was
Josh
discovered on Motocross
Hutcherson, yeah,
Kids, right? Because we did that for
That's
Fox,
right.
and next thing I know, Josh Hutcherson is, you know,
Huge.
huge. And he,
Yeah,
you know,
huge and a nice boy.
a nice kid. And when you meet people and they have it, you kind of know, right? Like,
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
walked
he was
into the
one of them.
room and he was one of them. He was one of them. So yeah, Sable Ranch has been very good to both of us. Now, so after Devil's Rejects, you know, you got a couple, and then you get to the big one, right? And
Yeah. Oh, for Rob. Yeah. So we were shooting 31, and they had put me in makeup for hours because I was beaten to a pulp, and then they brought me to the set, and I'm covered with all the fake blood, and then they tie me to a chair, and I mean they tie me to a chair, and they're going to do this thing where this clown's going to hatchet me in the stomach after the great Richard Brake does a very long, terrific monologue. Don't call me a clown, etc.
Of course.
They tie me to the chair, and they're going to kill me in the first 4 minutes of the movie. And Rob's like, all right, turn on the water. And I go, wait, whoa, what? What water? He goes, we're dripping water on you. So now then they turn on the water, and the fake blood is now in my eyes. It's stinging. It's in my mouth. And, you know, I'm getting more uncomfortable. I start thinking, you know, nobody showed me that axe was made of rubber, you know, like they do with the firearm. I don't know. That guy's holding that axe, and it looks like a real heavy axe, the way he's holding. And then finally, like, okay, ready to go. Anybody have anything else? Then I said, can I say one thing? He goes, what? I said, you know, other people, I actually star in their movies. You're the only guy who kills me in the first 4 minutes. All right, let's shoot it. And so when he gave me Grandpa Munster, he said I wasn't allowed to complain ever again about the little parts, which I never did complain. Look, and you know it too, Richard. I've always, just as you do, and maybe Robert, I'm a guy. This is my job. I get up, I go to work. If I work for 2 days or 2 hours, or like 2 hours, that would be a Eric Roberts movie. I'm exhausted. I've been on this movie an hour and 20 minutes. I need a break. But I just go and I do it. And I know my lines and I know the character and I deliver. And then, you know, if I hadn't delivered to you on the Black Beauty movie, you know, you would never have called me again to be in another movie, nor would we'd probably be friends, because you would think, you know, this guy's, what kind of human is he if he doesn't even come to work prepared, you know? So,
right, you know, I do have this thing, you know, I was on a set, and one of my sets, and someone was being really extremely annoying, like unbelievably annoying, you can't even comprehend, and I won't name the person or even say what they were doing. And a colleague of mine who'd been on a couple of movies with me comes up to me and goes, have you seen this? What is, you know, like, beyond everything, I said, I know. I'm so bummed out. I just gave him a 2-picture deal. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, his first and his last. It's over. So, 2-picture deal, your first and your last. And it is true, especially, working at the pace where we work at,
Yeah.
We have to show the respect
No,
to each other. And whenever I get an acting gig, I'm holding those pages where I know them backwards and forwards before that camera rolls. And this film we just did, it was definitely a one-take situation, and I got hit in the head with a hammer, but they did show me it was a foam hammer, and they put a magnet on my head and a magnet on the hammer, and it stuck. but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They hit you and it stuck in your head?
Yeah, and so I got to do that,
You're like, that's never gonna work. It's working. Fine.
It worked.
All right,
It
I don't
worked
know.
great.
Right, and I know that. So Bobby's done a lot of the conventions where you get to meet the fans and all that stuff, and even I've been invited to a couple, although, the line of 2 or 3 people isn't that impressive. But guys like you, so have you been doing that stuff with all these horror movies? I know the horror fans are really appreciative.
Yeah, I do it, and Rob Zombie and Terrifier, they have a very good fan base. And I like doing it because I'm a people person. I like meeting people. I like making people happy. So we do all that. And it's been a blessing to me because when I make my movies through my not-for-profit, I haven't figured out yet how to pay myself. So I spend literally a year or more on every movie, writing, producing, directing, starring, post-production. I do the first edit. My wife then edits behind me through post-production. She and we work for free. So, when I'm not working for the man, the conventions are a nice opportunity. And if you ever see my convention photos, I'm go big or go home. I don't put 3 pictures on the table. I've got toys, I've got merchandise. I've started a company with Pete Bregman and Brent Sorensen, and we make licensed products like black light posters and slide puzzles and figures and coloring books. We do of Phantasm and Rob Zombie's products and Cheney and Lugosi. So, we do that because I needed another way to lose money.
I got it. And going back to the Phantasm, one of my oldest buddies, Michael Baldwin from all the Phantasm
terrific,
movies,
yeah.
other than the second one, where they did that.
The second one, which he refers to as the Phantasm movie of which we do not speak.
Correct.
once.
Correct. And I happen to agree with him because the first one was amazing. I was doing this musical theater program at Cal State Northridge in the summer, and we were in Tom Sawyer together. And the first Phantasm came out, and that movie was so freaking scary that I was like,
Yes.
I was singing and dancing with him during the day, and then I went and saw the movie, and it just scared the crap out of me. And
Isn't it great? A movie, like, to me, it was the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the first the remake of Dawn of the Dead where they ran at you. Like as an adult, you're like, okay, I'm legitimately scared. Like Phantasm is legitimately scary.
yeah, absolutely,
Legitimate.
absolutely. And from those days, I have another memory of the original one, A Stranger Calls. I grew up in Chatsworth, where you, I think, spent some time. You in Northridge.
Yes.
I walked to the Northridge Mall to see like a late matinee and meet friends at the mall. And we saw When a Stranger Calls, and it was like over a 2-mile walk. And I'm however age I was, but obviously not driving age, 13, 14, whatever I was. And then that walk home from the mall after seeing When a Stranger Calls, I was just like,
That was the Carol K movie.
I don't
Is that who's
remember.
in When It's-
I just remember
When
the
It's-
title. I remember scenes, the cut of the phone ringing, and just the phone was ringing all the way home. And I got home and ran
Yeah,
and
isn't
closed
that
the
the
door.
first one where they're like, he's in the house, he's in the house.
Yes, scary as all hell.
Yeah.
The good news is that Robert Carradine, Daniel Roebuck, and yours truly, Richard Gabai, are still around. We're still at it. Danny, thank you a million for joining us on this thing. And I look forward to seeing you on set, which would be the best if we were working again together, but at a minimum, back where you hold court at that coffee shop in Burbank.
I don't think I hold court. I think
You hold court. I've met you there a couple of times, and it's always like, they kind of come by like, Danny, oh, hey, Danny, Danny, Danny,
Can we take a picture?
can we take a picture? Will you be here tomorrow? Can I bring my mom? But anyway,
so there might be a little of that. But I'm usually there writing with my daughter. Hey, let's do a movie. Can I please be in a movie with Mr. Carradine?
Yes.
Can someone please do that?
we're going to do that.
Listen, thank you so much. You're great guys. Robert, thanks for good to hang out. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Me to you, Danny.
Again, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
And
See you soon.
Richard, you keep doing what you're doing.
I'm gonna, my man. I'm gonna.
All right, man.
Thank you, guys. All right, I think that thank you again to the great Danny Roebuck, and from our undisclosed triple secret location in my living room, high in the Holly Woodland Hills area of Los Angeles, California. Bobby and I will see you next time.
On Revenge of the Party Nerds.